your mission, your vision, how you can help Robert Slack and everyone else. And we connected after that.
Oh, remember that.
Remember that? You probably just said, hey, man, I love your story. I'm like, I love your story.
So cool.
Ever since then, I think not only the professional side grew, but the friendship grew.
Totally.
Right?
A mutual affinity.
Yes.
Real recognizes real, and somebody sees somebody's heart. And I loved hearing, your challenge and triumphs and attitude, and taking something so disheartening and turning it into an inspiration. And I think there's just, all of us have somewhat of that in our lives,
100%.
At some point. And it might not be as extreme, but we learn through these experiences, and you're just a walking testimonial of what's possible of taking, a challenge to triumph. So I just immediately, even, obviously Taylor and Rod, my partners, we all three looked at each other and be like, dude, that's a cool dude. We got to meet that guy. So.
Same here. And, and everything you said about me, same I can say for you. So, just to jump in. So last time we were here, all three partners were here. We talked about how you guys came together. It's interesting. I was looking back to the last previous interview, how you got into an industry that didn't have a quick gratification.
Sure.
Talk about that. And you guys applied that to your life now.
Sure. Well, I think right now, if I'm being transparent, I think right now in this market is the first time in 13 years that the reason that we decided to get in the insurance business, the philosophy, the driving ideology behind that decision is now actually showing fruit. I got into business in 2008, right, as the Great Recession was happening, right? And so that was probably the other time, but I was too young in the business to really feel the impact because I was brand new, right? I had nothing necessarily to quote unquote lose or that was contracting or anything like that.
No wife, no kids.
At that point in time, I was engaged, but I wasn't married, no kids. But before that happened, I met those. Obviously, I've known my brother since my whole life, and had the opportunity to come together and work together came later. But for me, it was about learning some principles on entrepreneurship and business that a mentor had kind of inserted into our subconscious, I guess, early on, which was the power of residual income. Doing something one time and getting paid over and over and over again. We see that now with SaaS models. Everybody wants a SaaS model with tech, but at the end of the day, whether it's a subscription service, whether it's an insurance product, whatever it may be, a recurring charge for setting something up one time. This was 20 years ago. I was like, I would never do anything if I didn't have residual income. And that was interesting to me. That got my attention. I was like, wow, okay. Well, first of all, what is that? And then secondly, like, how do I do that? That was number one. And then he said, number two, I would never do anything if it didn't have leverage associated to it. And what he meant by leverage was really utilizing, attracting, developing, and retaining, and getting people to work together. When it comes to talent. So getting into some sort of mechanism to where you can aggregate talent together and get people to work together. And he'd say, Paul J. Getty had a great quote that he would always say, which is, I'd rather have 1% of 100 people's efforts than 100% of my own. And so these two components always interested me because, he was very adamant about that. And then as I was going through college, I got introduced to a gentleman who was in the property and casualty insurance space. And I had called 10 different people to get on different industries, got to know what I wanted to do in college, met this guy, he spent 2.5 hours with me, and he started telling me all about the business, and I realized at that point that this had those components in it.